This is the Ayaneo Pocket S2 Pro. It's so good, so powerful, with such a huge battery, and is great in so many ways. It's just crazy. Totally crazy.
Pigeons are spies. I know where the government hides the real birds.
See what I mean?
Your mom is in on it. Trust no one, TechDweeb.
Yeah, pretty crazy. Hey there, how you doing? I'm TechDweeb, welcome. Thanks for clicking on the video today. A while back, I reviewed this, the Ayaneo Pockets.
It's pronounced Pocket S.
It was a great device, really great. Great screen, great controls, and it was powerful. This thing came with a Snapdragon G3X Gen 2 chip, which was the best of the best chip at the time. And I love this thing to bits.
Thanks, TechDweeb. I love you too.
But now there's a new one, the Pocket S2 Pro, and it's a lot better. And I'm telling you right now, I like it a lot better.
Wait, what?
That's right, because the Pocket S2 Pro is a lot like the Pockets in lots of ways. Same sort of size, same sort of shape. It looks like just a little bit of a bigger Pockets, but it has some key upgrades that take it not just to the next level. It takes it like to 2 levels more. The specs in here, along with the biggest battery we've seen in a retro handheld, means that this thing, for retro games, might be the best thing yet. It's just nuts.
All dentists are part of a global teeth harvesting cult.
In more ways than one. This thing is rocking the Snapdragon G3X Gen 3 chip, the best that you can get in an Android retro handheld. The S2 comes in 2 versions. There's a Pro version, which I have here, and there's a non-Pro version, which I don't have here. You'll get anywhere from 8 gigabytes up to 16 gigabytes of RAM and 128 gigabytes of storage up to 1 terabyte. The screen is the same on all versions. It's a 6.3-inch IPS True Tone LCD with a resolution of 2560 by 1440. The battery is 8,000 milliamp hours on the base S2 and 10,000 milliamp hours on the Pro. And we also get some sort of Wi-Fi, Bluetooth 5.3, and it's running Android 14. The prices depend on the options you choose, obviously. You're looking at anywhere from $440 up to $700, depending on what you need. It comes in 4 colorways, black and white, and you can get those colors in the Pro and the non-Pro versions. And Ayaneo also did their signature Retro Power version and this B-Duck version. And as always, they lock the retro colorway to the highest top-end spec version, which kind of sucks. I complain about it every time, mostly because I love the retro colorway and I want to be able to afford it more than I do. It comes in a box, and the box has words on it, and inside there is another box with more words, and in the box is the cover, and the device is under there, and under that is some more boxes. This one has word papers inside, and this one has a USB-C cable, and this one has a D-pad puller offer, and a replacement round style D-pad. Wow, crazy.
One day I'll devour the sun and there will be only darkness.
No, not you. I'm in the D-pad puller offer. That's crazy.
Oh, sorry. I thought you meant me.
That's alright. You're crazy too.
Thanks, man.
On the front, we have a screen and a left stick in the upper configuration and a cute little function button beside that. D-pad down here with the start and select below that. There's face buttons over here and another stick under those and an Ayaneo button and a home button. Up top, we have bumpers and triggers and a rebindable function button and some airflow holes, volume up and down, and a power button with integrated fingerprint reader, and another rebindable function button. On the right side, this little button changes the power profile on the fly, nothing on the left side. Underneath, we have downward firing stereo speakers and a trap door that hides a sneaky little TF card hole, and a headphone hole for you wired headphone weirdos, and a USB-C hole for charging and OTG and video out and all that stuff. And around back, there's more holes where the air comes in. I was really into the original Pockets, and the Pockets 2 basically follows that same general vibe and aesthetic. However, there's a couple notable changes. First, the Pockets 2 is bigger. Not by much, but a bit. The original Pockets had this hard, crisp edge around the outside with this metal kind of border there. The Pockets 2 went with a more rounded shape, which doesn't look as good, but it does feel more comfortable. This frame around the outside is still metal here, but it's painted to not look so obvious, and the softer edge is nice. I've always loved the Pockets, and it's amazing how the Pockets 2 improves on that in almost every way. It's nuts.
The government replaced the clouds with holograms in the 80s.
Literally. The controls are overall pretty great. The D-pad is a clicky micro switch style, which lots of people don't like, but I like it a lot. It's really accurate, maybe ever so slightly too easy to hit accidental diagonals, but nothing I would complain about when I'm actually gaming. One really cool thing is that the D-pad, you can change it. You get this round disc style D-pad that you can put on there, and I really like this, and it feels good to use, so I'll probably be switching to this after this review. And great buttons, soft rubber membrane, and they're not loud at all, and the bumpers are quiet, and the triggers are great. Great quality inputs, and the sticks are also great. These are TMR electromagnetic joysticks, which are more precise than Hall sticks. And that's good because these sticks are a bit on the small side, but they feel perfectly accurate and sensitive. The screen is amazing, but let's get the bad news out of the way. It's not OLED. As an LCD though, it's amazing, simply because it's 6.4 inches, which is big without making the device huge, and it's 1440p. I'm telling you, that extra resolution makes a huge difference compared to a 1080p screen. It's also really bright, and it has great colors and contrast. Not as good as OLED, but it's still great for an LCD. And as you can see, it's got this one-piece glass panel across the front with ultra narrow bezels. Also, 1440p, man. That's just crazy. Crazy. Pockets 2?
Yeah?
I said crazy.
Oh, right. Your microwave is spying on you for the Chinese government.
There it is. And the sound is, it's good. It's not the best, it's a bit muffled in the mids, but it's nice and loud, good bass and treble, and it's overall pretty average, I guess. There is really nothing new here with this system. Typical Ayaneo stuff, and I don't want to get into that and give you a tour in every video. So the short version is that you get Android 14 with the Ayaneo launcher as your Android front end. You can press this button to bring up the Ayaneo quick settings where you can change the TDP and fan on the fly and change controller options and some other stuff. You can open up the Ayaneo settings app to access in-depth settings like some pretty extensive performance settings, customize the rebindable controls, do updates, and in here you can spoof your device in this menu, which helps with games that, lock certain settings to specific hardware. And you get IOSpace, which is a game launcher, and I hate it, so I'm not even going to bother showing it to you. I set this up with Trinket OS as my Android front end and ESDE for my retro games, and it doesn't come with emulators or anything like that installed, so I installed all my favorite emulators for each system, which is these that you see on the screen. The benchmarks paint a pretty clear picture of how much more powerful this thing is compared to the previous generation of high-end Android handhelds. And you should expect more or less the same performance here on the non-Pro version too, because they use the same chip. This is a comparison between the Odin 2 Portal, which uses the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 chip, and the Ayaneo Pocket Evo, which uses the Snapdragon G3X Gen 2. In 3D Mark Wildlife, the Pockets 2 came out way ahead, about 17% faster than the Evo and 30% faster than the Portal. In CPU tests in Geekbench 6, single-core performance was close, but for multi-core, the Pockets 2 pulled out way ahead, scoring 23% higher than the Evo and 22% higher than the Portal. And for a GPU test in Geekbench OpenCL, the Pockets 2 dominated, 45% faster than the Evo and 92% faster than the Portal. That is huge, a huge difference. And then over in the Vulkan rendering test, same story here. The Pockets 2 scored 15% higher than the Evo and a massive 47% higher than the Portal. So if it's not obvious, bigger number equals better, and it's so much better that it really does seem like a whole new generation of device at this point. It's actually crazy.
The moon is a giant space egg waiting to hatch.
In lots of ways.
Space spiders! Spiders from space!
Right. Spiders from space, guys. Gaming performance is probably what most people care about here. I mean, it's a new chip after all, so does it unlock new magical realms of emulation? And the short answer is no, not really. You won't be playing anything drastically different on the Pockets 2 that you couldn't already play on most high-end retro handhelds. But here's the thing, you'll be playing that stuff better. Like crisper and cleaner and without as much battery guilt. A lot of GameCube games that needed higher power modes just to hit 1080p on older devices, on the Pockets 2 you can bump them up to 4x resolution, no problem. Which by the way is 1440p, not 1080p like the Portal. And this screen loves that extra resolution. I was playing F-Zero GX at 1440p in widescreen, and I swear it felt like a modern remaster. Plus, you don't need to crank the power mode to the moon anymore. Stuff that chugged on the balanced profile before now runs great at the same setting. More performance, more battery. It's a double whammy. And PS2 is sort of the same deal, but it doesn't fare quite as well. It is a lot better. I tested Sly Cooper and that ran great, upscaled to 3x resolution, smooth 60 FPS. But Sly Cooper 3 still didn't work well. Better here than on the Evo, but not perfect. But most PS2 games do run perfect at 4x resolution, which is 1440p, widescreen, and even on the balance mode, you're going to be getting hours of gameplay without melting the battery. So it's not a new frontier, but it's a better frontier. And Switch emulation is also better. Games that ran okay on the last gen, like Mario Wonder, now runs even smoother here. And you can play in docked mode at 1080p without the stutters that you get on the original Pockets, and in the balanced profile now. That said, Switch emulation is still messy overall because of the state of Switch emulation. Just right now, don't expect to play every Switch game perfectly. PC emulation with WinLater or GameHub is like the true Wild West. It's fun if you like fiddling with wine versions and DXVK renderers and GPU drivers that may or may not be just broken. Some games work great, others don't launch. Lots of indie games do play great, but for more demanding games, even when it works, you're looking at low settings, maybe 720p. And even on the highest profile, you'll be getting like a choppy 30 FPS gameplay that burns through your battery life. I personally believe the dream of Steam on Android is coming soon, but it's not here yet. It's fun to try now, but don't expect to play all your PC games on something like the Pocket S2 Pro. And Android gaming is great when it works, but the Play Store is a little weird on this thing. I couldn't install Streets of Rage 4 or Balatro. It said the device wasn't supported, and spoofing didn't help. I tried all sorts of things. Hopefully this gets fixed in an update, but for now it's something to be aware of. The base model of the Pockets 2 comes with an 8,000 mAh battery, same as on the Portal, while the Pockets 2 Pro comes with a 10,000 mAh battery, which is big. Seriously, for a retro handheld, that's the biggest I've seen. And also, this device isn't even that big. It's smaller than the Portal and the Evo, and it has a bigger battery. That's nuts.
Every time you sneeze, an alternate version of you dies.
That's nuts too. To be honest, I didn't notice a huge difference in the battery compared to the last generation's devices. I didn't do any extensive tests, but at one point I put the Evo and the Pockets 2 side by side with running the same games with the same settings for 30 minutes, and they both lost the exact same amount of battery. And I don't really have an explanation for that, other than maybe since this Pockets 2 is an early review sample, it might get updates that improve efficiency. Or it might just be that this is an LCD and the Evo uses OLED, and OLED uses less power. And it also just might be that the battery calibration is off on my Pockets 2 Pro and I need to recalibrate it and do an actual full battery drain test to get proper numbers. However, a silver lining is that this is a small device. So even if this is how the battery will perform in the end, at least we have a small device that can keep up with the big boys now, which is...
crazy?
You said it, not me.
Yeah, that's kind of my thing.
All right. I'm fine with that.
Boogie, 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 boogie,
That I feel like this thing exists in a weird place in the market, like lots of Ayaneo stuff does, really. Because it's so expensive that inevitably you'll get the just get a Steam Deck bros coming out to tell you to buy a Steam Deck instead. And they're not wrong, in the sense that the Steam Deck is amazing, and you can get that instead for the price of the top-end version of this, but they're sort of wrong in the sense that the Steam Deck isn't an Android handheld. And there are some huge benefits to Android handhelds, especially for retro games. I mean, you're not going to play 20 hours of anything on a Steam Deck, but you can play 20 hours of GBA on the Pockets too. If you're here for emulation, Android makes a ton of sense. And if you like high-end emulation, like high-end upscaled GameCube and PS2 and Switch, if you want the best of the best, this is the best of the best. The best that you can get right now. It's expensive, but it's a luxury device. Ayaneo's stuff isn't budget stuff. It's high-end stuff. And I love that. I love that they're here making these top-end doodads that push the hobby forward at the high end. Obviously not for everyone. But if you're watching this thinking, wow, that's beautiful, and I really want the best Android handheld there is out there, then yeah, this is the one you want right now. And it's so good, it's crazy.
They invented artificial sweeteners to make you more susceptible to 5G brainwashing.
That's interesting. Tell me more.
It's a conspiracy theory. Stuff about crazy things.
Crazy things.
Yeah. A boogie, 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 boogie.
You done?
Yeah.